Sick intro.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, I love it. It's really slick. I like it.
Well, we're here.
Yeah, we're here, and so let's say hello to everybody in the chat.
Right.
We got Dempsey and I don't know
Steven
who's
Ransom. Hey, Steven.
Blair to Blair. Who's this Blair to Blair guy? Oh, he's right next to me.
Blair. Oh.
Savage Brewski. Hello.
Broski.
New.
And
Yeah,
Steven
there's
Ransom.
no.
Got Steven. Hey, Steven, how are you? Alrighty. So this movie, is this a first? Is this a first for everybody?
Nope.
I've seen it.
I've seen it like
Meg.
3 times.
Okay. So Blair and Nerdporeal, this is a first for y'all, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't part of the original, or not the original. Sorry, it wasn't part of the Hitchcock collection that I own. So, and I couldn't find it. I have the Criterion Blu-ray. I just don't know where it is right now. So I ended up watching it on Tubi today. So,
Good.
with ads.
Good. Cool. Yeah. So this is a good one. Let's see here.
How come you went with this one?
This one. It won the poll.
Oh, okay.
I may or may not have been campaigning for it. Sorry.
Yeah, Max, you were telling me like how can you like Hitchcock and never seen this? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, what can I say? I saw it recently too, and that's when I just got onto the train. So I had to like, project a little bit onto you, Brian. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's a common thing now.
Oh, come on, no.
Kidding,
It was National Axe Throwing Day, by the way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Mags is a gifted axe thrower. Like, yeah.
Better watch out, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, go ahead, Jacob.
So yeah, Alfred Hitchcock, the man, and writers were Ben Hatch, Alfred Hitchcock, and John Foote.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. So yeah, good stuff. And Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman, and Claude Rains. Good cast.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny was this came out like a year after the war ended. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
this was like another one of those cases where, you have your Nazis in South America and they just want to catch them or someone connected to them, catch them in the act or maybe catch them, period. So,
Yeah, this is, I think, before even the Iron Curtain speech from Churchill. So there wasn't a communism yet.
Obviously, they knew in this time period that there were Nazis in South America.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Nuremberg trials are going on at this time too.
Yeah. And
the Nuremberg movie is actually really is a good movie. You have Spencer Tracy in it, and you have a young William Shatner in that. It's funny seeing him just as like his secretary, I think, or he's like military secretary or something too.
Yeah.
So it's funny seeing him. Is that good, sir? And then of course a few years later he flipped the script and be the based captain of the Enterprise.
Yeah. And the FBI was monitoring Alfred Hitchcock at this time.
Yeah, because they mentioned uranium.
Yeah, no, but it actually started with a Hitchcock episode that there was going to be an FBI person in it. And the FBI got wind of it and it was like, no, not an FBI guy. No. And they kind of nixed that story. But they watched him for a few years after that to make sure he didn't put anything they didn't want.
Was he ever investigated for communism?
I don't know. I don't think so. But
if he was, they didn't find enough to even mention it. So
yeah. Well, that's why you see movies like North by Northwest. They never mention the agency. It's always their government
Yeah, this one too. They never mention it.
Yeah.
They just call him a cop or a U.S. agent of some type.
Yeah.
We do shit. Agencies, we
I
do
know,
shit
right?
around the world. That's what it is, basically. So
We're gonna go to Brazil and do what we want.
So
Miami, Florida,
starts
3:20 p.m., April the 24th, 1946. I thought this was going to take place during the war, so my expectations were subverted when I saw that little opening script right there. So this actually takes place the year it came out.
Yeah, it's basically like, think of it as post World War II, like really right off the heels. Everybody is trying to get back to some semblance of normalcy.
I love how this is definitely a Alfred Hitchcock. You got the guy peeking through the door, and then it shows what he's seen.
Oh yeah, that's.
There's a lot. There was another thing I spotted, but that'll be later in the movie. That is another. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a staple. It's not in every movie, but it's in a lot of his notable movies, and especially mother and son dynamic.
Yeah. Yep, that was
And this guy here is like saying to the judge, "Next time we'll take over," and his lawyer's like, "Shut up, be quiet."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, you don't want to do that.
You're not helping yourself."
So I'm taking it. This is supposed to be Ingrid Bergman's father. This character right here, and he's supposed to be a Nazi agent, or he's basically a Nazi agent, basically.
Yeah,
he's an American who was okay.
Yeah, so he's tried for treason, found guilty, and they gave him 20 years.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought they're going to hang him for sure, but
well, I guess as long as you don't sell, nuclear codes, like the Rosenbergs.
Because he was a Nazi sympathizer, it wasn't necessarily like.
Yeah,
I don't know what the rules were. The I don't know how that was all, but I'm sure there's probably a different tier.
Sympathizer.
Yeah, there's probably a different tier in terms of punishment.
Right.
Yeah.
So these guys look like what I would expect a government agent to look like. Just nondescript, not anything.
Yep.
Just a regular looking person.
Yeah, and the guy on the left says to the guy on the right, "Hey, if she skips town, let me know." So they have their eyes on her. So.
Yep, she's under surveillance, and there he is walking by her house.
Yeah,
I thought this was an interesting shot right there with you have Cary Grant's back of his head to the camera, and I don't know. To me, I was getting James Bond vibes, especially. This movie gave me some James Bond vibes. The whole, especially the movie From Russia with Love. The whole dynamic between Sean Connery and Danielle Bianchi was kind of loosely similar to Cary Grant's dynamic with Ingrid Bergman. I mean, I don't know if you guys see it. You guys don't have to agree with me, but I noticed the similarity, and seeing the back of his head made me think of the back of Blofeld's head, and with Love, and that actor that stood in that movie was Anthony Dawson, who was in Dial M for Murder. He was the hired, killer.
This movie's like 7 years before the Casino Royale novel came out, so it gave me strong Bond vibes.
Yeah, and he's just there, and nobody kind of knows who he is, except for one woman says she brought him. But yeah, he's just this kind of weird guy hanging out in a party.
Yeah. He's like, and they're like, "Why are you here?" "Well, I'm here to give you a job." Not interested. So all she's doing, she's just miserable. Well, I don't know if she's miserable or happy. She probably miserable with the whole thing. And she's drinking and she's drinking and she's drinking. And that he recruits her when she is hungover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it gets me, this guy here, he's talking about taking a trip to Cuba. And that was kind of shocking that I realized, oh yeah, that's right. They hadn't had the revolution in several years. Cuba was just like a nice place to go, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting how you look at it from Hollywood's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go to Cuba.
I love how right here she asks the old guy, she's like, "Do you love me?" And the old guy's like, "You're very pretty."
Correct answer, sir.
And then she's like, you all have to go. It's been a boring party, or something like that.
Horrendous party.
Yeah, she says that quite a bit. She's like, "I'm bored. Like I'm here to offer you a job. Bored. Boring. You know." Hey, there we go. There we see him.
It's not like she talked about. It's stuffy in here. Let's go for a drive. I'm driving, of course, and she can barely stand.
And it was funny how they decided. I'm assuming the whole point of that driving scene right there, well, not right here, but coming up, was to basically establish who Cary Grant is and how important he is. The agency. He's part of the agency.
Yeah, the non-named agency involved in tracking down naughty Germans in South America.
So yeah, she's pretty bitter right here. You know, just find out that we find out that she hated her father, and we find out that she's loose. I think she was patriotic from the get-go, and she just didn't understand this. And then, but even if you hated your father and you wish he went away, it's still taxing on on the person, regardless.
Yeah, the whole trial of it, and her name is now smirched, and now she's under surveillance too.
Yeah. Did any of y'all notice the glass in this scene?
He drank most of it, but then she drank the rest of it.
No, where he sets it. Did you notice where he set the glass? Just watch the glass. He sets it on the woman's chest.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, because she's not. Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
She's had a fun time.
Oh yeah, there are people passed out there. Yeah.
I hadn't noticed that before this time until this time I watched it.
Yeah, Shieldwall makes a good point. Right after the war, everything in the world was in flux. So you had everybody everywhere, trying to relocate, trying to position themselves for the next conflict, trying to get atomic secrets or, the new next Wonder War. It was like a crazy time.
Yeah, have you seen there was episodes of older shows that talked about a Fourth Reich possibly coming back, and that was the basis for a lot of episodes of 60s espionage shows. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a fringe group of people just waiting, biding their time, waiting for the proper waiting to retake the world and everything. It
was theoretically possible back then because a lot of them did relocate to places like Argentina, to the Americas.
And there was a rumor,
or hiding in Germany still.
There was a rumor of a Nazi base in Antarctica, and that's why Rear Admiral Byrd went down there to make sure that there wasn't.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into the Antarctic. I'll have to look into that.
That
actually sounds pretty interesting to read about.
That's why I like this movie, because it gives a very interesting post-war, hypothetical. Like this possibly could have happened. So
totally.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting. I know it's Hollywoodized a little bit, but it gives you a glimpse into that reality that this was out there. This was there. It's like at some point. So
Yeah, when did India become a country? Was it 47?
So let me see.
I don't know if this was shortly. I know Gandhi died in 48, and Gandhi was a big proponent of that.
Yeah, I think because that's when India and Pakistan, that's when they formed. When India got independence, then they formed Pakistan.
Yeah.
That's where the Muslims were supposed to go, and they had those big migrations of people. Yeah, the British Empire started totally collapsing hardcore right after this. And
you're right. It became independence from the United Kingdom was 1947. It became a republic in 1950. So yeah.
Oh, okay. A lot of nations were forming around that time. Yeah, Israel was 1948, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
Same thing, British, leaving and people from survivors of the Holocaust started migrating to Israel to restart their lives. And unfortunately, there's people living there, so conflict to this day.
Yeah, there was everybody's navies were destroyed except for America. Europe was in tatters. They couldn't keep their old colonial holdings, and everybody wanted, we're kind of done with it anyway. Yeah, this was kind of a crazy time. A lot of stuff was in flux. So this totally could have been like a real thing. A bunch of Nazis still trying to keep going.
I love this right here with the top. So it's weird. I'm like, how is this gonna go? Like you have her. She's driving drunk, but yet she has a completely. I don't know. I think he's pretty much sober. He's sober passenger with her. And he's the cop cop pulls him over like what a cop would do.
She's doing
and he's like sir, don't say anything. You don't have a leg to stand on. And he takes out his magic badge and that says I am part of the agency. The agency. And he's like, yes sir, and he even salutes him, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
That just goes to show you how important Cary Grant is. And I'll be honest, with his performance this time, I haven't seen a whole lot of Cary Grant films myself. I've seen Charade, I saw North by Northwest, and I saw Arsenic and Old Lace. All those movies had comedic elements. I've associated Cary Grant with he's like a carefree playboy who gets into some mischief or some trouble. Here he's a little bit more menacing. I don't know if I would say menacing, but he's a little bit more.
Yeah,
he has less of that comedy. There's none of that really of that comedy. I mean, he's still the romantic like he is in this, but he doesn't have like
he's kind of pushy and kind of a little bit menacing because it's kind of like you're gonna do this
Bond because they got the perfect guy to get her. That he's
in this when they're doing the full tussle. You see where he punches her out? He knocks her out. Because he's kind of like done with it.
Oh yeah, and they actually they get into a fight. He actually, I think it's very subtle, but I think he punches her.
Yep, he pops her in the jaw and knocks her out.
Yeah, so he gets So this I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, he's never decked a woman before that I've seen.
Yeah,
he got into a fight with George Kennedy in Charade, but that was a different story.
Touch angle.
That's a nice little thing too.
Yeah, it kind of like moves with her head as she's going around. She goes like upside down and.
What did he give her? He's like, drink it. He commands her. He's like, drink it, drink all of it.
Alka-Seltzer or orange juice or something.
Yeah,
probably Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah, he's kind of he's very forceful. He's like, drink it all. You're gonna work for us. This is what's gonna be.
Well, I don't think he doesn't demand her. He's like, I'm offering it. He's like, I got a job for you. She's like, I don't want a job. And then we find out that they bugged the place. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is they store their bug. I had no idea.
Yes.
They store their bugs on vinyl.
It blew my mind when he
Right.
pulled that out. Like, what is
Yeah.
he going to play? I'm like, well, yeah, makes sense. They didn't have tape back then.
No.
How else would they have recorded conversations? Big
Keep
old
a
LP.
vinyl collection of all recorded phone conversations.
Yeah, that was really cool. They pulled out that record, and
We hear the little bit of context into her relationship with her father that I brought up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find out that she was more connected. I mean, she was connected. She was I don't think she didn't partake in like the illegal stuff, but she was still like she knew the people. Like she knew the people that he worked with, and that's why I want her.
She interacted with them all a lot. Yeah.
At first,
she was in love with the top dude that they want to go after.
Yeah. At first, she didn't know her father was a Nazi, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then later she found out, and then she hated and despised him, but he's still her dad. And
and isn't that an interesting thing that they put in here? Is that the reality check that it's not black and white as as our history books say it as it is. There are people that were involved on both sides of the war, whether we agree with them or not. And like in this instance, like her, how do you feel if you found out your father was a Nazi sympathizer?
Yeah,
I want answers. I want to understand.
You understand where her emotions and her, why she's kind of spiraling a little bit right here. I mean, I don't blame her.
Yeah, I mean, why would you don't want to hate anybody like that?
No.
That's just, I mean,
and you love your father.
Understand. You want to understand. Yeah.
How do you reconcile with that? That's hard.
It is.
Some people are like, well, I'm just gonna hate. Like, no, it's not that easy, folks. Life is not that easy. There's far more nuance than just, again, black and white.
I mean, I've seen interviews of parents of serial killers say that they still love they still love their son.
Yeah.
And this guy, John Wayne Gacy, who I'm talking about, is the biggest piece of shit on the planet.
Yeah.
He unfortunately did his shit here in Chicago. So
hi, Zach. I just saw he was in chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, especially now because everybody started finding out what the Nazis actually did.
Yeah.
So it was like even more of a in-your-face thing that she has to come to terms with. That
they made the Germans, the civilians, go to those camps and say this is the Allies made the citizenry of Germany go and show them what the Nazis did.
Yeah,
that was part of their denazification.
Yeah, exactly.
Process.
And the Nuremberg trials really rammed it home too. Who, the whole final solution thing. These people knew what was going on, and they actively supported it.
Yeah, I mean, the top dog in the Nuremberg trial, I believe, was Göring, the head of the Luftwaffe, and I forgot what else he was the head of, but he's the one that Curly portrays in the Stooges when they make fun of Nazi Germany. Mo is Hitler, Curly is Göring, and Larry is Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda. I learned about them through the Stooges before I learned about the real people. So.
I think a lot of us did.
Moronica for morons.
I mean, but look at her reality. Like she's just. I mean, I would feel like absolutely devastated. Like how? I mean, your whole world is like upside down.
She's in the she's drinking a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, to be quite honest. I'm not gonna lie, but I would
numb it out.
Yeah, numb it out. Like, can you imagine? Like,
I think the reason why she takes the job, even though she says it's boring, is just a way to cope with it, to stay busy, or even to do something dangerous. Maybe life is too much. Maybe she wants.
And not only that, Shield Wall. Like in her instance, she was probably in full support of the Nazi Party, but like she had no. I mean, just again, like you said, like. She had no idea of what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Now she's got that guilt and shame too, and
and she shouldn't, but because she didn't, but she feels like she actively participated by not no. I mean, it's like, can you like? And I think people need to understand that nuance of what people. Not that I'm saying everybody is right, but that nuance behind what war entails a lot of times.
Yeah.
Hey, Wookie.
One of the
Wookie be bad in the chat.
Hey, Wookie.
Hey, Wookie. One of the horrifying things about it was churches in Germany would sing louder to drown out the screams from the trains going by.
Yep.
I mean, that's how horrible it was.
And they probably had to do it at gunpoint too.
And a lot of people, if you spoke out, you were thrown in the train with them.
You disappeared.
Yyep. Yeah. So,
like, if reading,
can you imagine living under the boot and the gun like that, and having not having to close your ears to the screams at the same time? Like, it's just, oh my god.
I've gotten more attention from reading the story of the woman that was hiding Anne Frank and her family in Amsterdam, and what the steps they had to go through to avoid detection was insane.
Oh yeah.
Never shop at the same place twice. They had to be very, very careful. And like, I'm reading I was reading Wikipedia years ago, and I got more attention reading that than any movie or any crappy suspense movie or anything. But it like there was more. I was more terrified reading that, and it was nuts. So I like how there's a big reason why, like, like for instance, Star Wars, the way they portray the Empire is a bunch of buffoons. And
right. In real life,
I mean, which is what the Empire is based off of, the Nazis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Make them terrifying, because the real Nazis were the most terrifying presence ever. And they were just brutal, and they were efficient.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like even Shieldwall said, their economy was in tatters like everybody else, but it was even worse because of all the war reparations they had to. The first
World War One.
Yeah.
World War II was actually a result of World War One's.
Part two of
the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles basically blamed Germany for the entire war, even though it was started.
And World War One was a result of all the wars in Europe in the 1800s.
Yeah.
There was like every country was part of it. There was like a stream of alliances that happened. So you had, and every country was bound by these alliances to go to war. It was over a simple. Well, I mean, it might not be true. This is what I learned in school. Simple assassination of Archduke Ferdinand in Austria-Hungary, and by a Serbian national. And so they declare war on Serbia, and then everybody, Serbia, whoever was basically the Allies were on the side of Serbia because they were part of that same.
Yeah, Russia was Slav, so they go to war with them because they were more culturally aligned. Germany went with Austria-Hungary because they were aligned. Yeah. And then when everybody declared war on Russia, then France got involved, and then England. Yeah, it was just one after another. And after
Europe was a mess. Was a hot mess for a while.
and then Germany pretty much led. I mean, Germany led the war. Basically, they provided. They had the most resources, and they weren't even part of why World War I happened. It was just a cascade effect of terrible systems in place.
Mussolini and Hitler came along at the right time. They had their fascist regimes. They made everything right again. The trains ran on time. You got the economy. Hitler, things made sense.
His name
don't forget Franco either.
Yeah,
Spain.
Mr. Schicklgruber, known as Hitler, learned that to really grab or get support, you had to perfect oratory. You had to perfect your oratory skills. And that's what he did. And he got super duper involved in politics in the 1920s. I mean, they tried to take over Germany as early as 1923 because of the Bear Putsch in Munich.
Putsch. Yeah. And then he got into prison for like a year and wrote his little book.
Mein Kampf, My Struggle.
And
I haven't read it, but it talks bad about a certain group of people who
I
believe a
had to
certain
for my
thing.
degree, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it gives you insight and like, okay.
Yeah, it's good to know your
These
enemies.
people are evil. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so back to Notorious. Now that we
Yeah.
have like a good,
So here
pretty
here
lesson.
we
I know we could talk
find out
about this
her
like another
father.
stream.
We find out her father committed suicide in prison.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had what, a cyanide capsule or something?
Poison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Committed
Poison pill.
suicide, or
Poison
off,
pill.
off himself. Yeah.
Poison pill. I thought that's what they use in corporations to avoid takeovers. Sorry, I've watched Succession. Sorry.
And two, I like we hear that she remembers the good times before she found out he was a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny was you say good times, and yet she was in Florida. Get it?
Yeah. Florida.
The mother, Florida, from Good Times.
Oh, her name was Florida. Okay.
Well,
Wow. Yeah.
I know might. Jeez.
Gee. But now they're
Okay,
heading to Brazil.
I think I derailed the stream now.
And I've got the picture, a black white picture of Brazil. You know, they're talking about, and then they show Brazil, and it's beautiful and it's clean. It's not the hellscape.
They showed the cross too. They
Hell.
showed the cross on the mount,
Yeah.
on the mount and everything. That was pretty cool. Pretty sick.
Yeah, and Brazil's kind of a dangerous place now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then in the 40s, you know, Latin America was still this beautiful, you know, functioning place. It didn't have the communist regimes and all that yet.
Yeah.
I didn't know Brazil had that. I didn't know Brazil had that. I know. I mean, everybody knows Venezuela.
No, well, Chile had it, Argentina, and then various other countries around them had.
And look at that. I mean,
versions.
that could be somewhere in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have any war damage in South America. They were the only continent, and them and Antarctica were the only ones that weren't touched.
Yeah.
Not even North America. I mean, if you don't include Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, they had some stuff over Alaska, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Then. Who cares about Alaska? I'm kidding. So I forget what is said here. So like, I don't think she knows what the job is yet. I don't think he knows.
No,
either.
not yet.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So like, it just kind of happens. Like, is this where they just fall in love like this?
Yeah, this is why they're smooching each other. You know, they're getting a hotel, or she's getting an apartment. She's talking about the things she wants in the apartment. He's, you know.
Is it just because that they've been together all this time that they've kind of fallen for each other?
She might be on a rebound from all her
too.
experiences, but he's starting to fall for her too, and he doesn't like it. But how could you not? Look at her.
Yeah. So when are we going to make Claude Rains' character the antagonist of this movie?
Comes up in a little while.
Oh gosh, and I love how they're getting to know each other too, and it's like they're starting to get more, you know, intimate, and you know he's supposed to be an agent. They're like that.
Like, oh, you can't fall in love with anybody, can you? And he's like, be quiet.
So Shielwall said she fell in love with him when he gave her the hangover cure.
Right
now. That's you know what?
She got
I'm with Shielwall.
Well, and what I love the fact too that he's an agent, so he's supposed to be like, I think, what is it, like some of this, and I think North by Northwest was a little bit of inspiration for the Hollywood version of James Bond. I think they looked at Cary Grant as a James Bond, the first one, but I think he was just too old for the role. But it made sense because he plays those types of characters, that intrigue, that thrill, that suspense, that having to have, you know, a stone cold demeanor and control and stoicism, and as somebody who he's not supposed to fall in love. Like, this is not how it works. Like, you're not supposed to, because you're compromising the job. So yeah.
So here he finds out what the job is. He's like, oh no.
Yeah, she's supposed to. They want her to get with Claude Rains,
her old boyfriend.
She's basically supposed to woo him and seduce him and all kinds of things that she has to do. That's of course the way Hollywood does it back then was very subtle, but I'm sure in today's types of modern entertainment value they would show a little bit more than that. But you kind of, the audience kind of
tell you. They would tell you.
The audience completely understands what the point is. So, because we weren't done back then.
Yeah, and they keep showing. They keep showing a champagne bottle. Why do they keep doing that? I wonder.
I don't know. Maybe they're setting something up. Maybe I was like, why? I was like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Yep.
Because that's where the sexual tension is. It's not necessarily the sex part of it. Is that it's unrequited love. Like, they can't do it. They can't.
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to. And that's what makes them almost get attracted to each other even more. And it's amazing how that works. It's almost like the how you always hear, distance makes the hearts grow fonder. Like, this is the sort, like, they're distant because they have to be, but they're not really distant.
Now, before this, we didn't get to see this. They did this thing where they were kissing before he went in for the briefing.
Yeah.
And they had the Hays Code back then where you couldn't kiss somebody longer than 3 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, this part. Yeah.
So they kept like kissing and like nibbling at each other and like, very intimate and, to get around that, so they wouldn't kiss for longer than 3 seconds, but they constantly nibbled each other and, quick kisses and stuff.
Yeah. And there's actually a picture of Hitchcock, as they're filming that scene, and he's like right there with them, like, probably coaching them, get in your face, closer.
He's about like that far away from her, like, more.
Yeah, right. And I love this. She's cooked something and she says, I burned it a little bit, but I think it's okay.
Yeah. And he's got to tell her what she needs to do. And he's kind of broken up about it because essentially what they want to do is they want to whore her out.
Yeah.
And they even they don't say it, but they mention it how a woman of her persuasion, they kind of allude to the fact that she's not a good woman and that this shouldn't be a problem for her to do this, And he's kind of taken a little back by like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. She's not really trained for this kind of thing. And he really doesn't like the idea of her hooking up with her old boyfriend. Well,
I mean, would you be comfortable with that too? Because I mean,
No.
here he's clearly, and this is what I love about this movie. She's clearly a woman and she's very feminine, and he's clearly a man and very masculine. He already has that instinct of wanting to protect her.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're
love
not
it.
just, using her to get to this guy, to woo this guy. They're sending her into the lion's den pretty much.
Yes, she could easily die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And he knows it, and he doesn't want her doing it. And
she says here, tell Mama what's wrong.
Yep. Now he's got to tell her what the job is.
Yeah. So they want her to go in and get this guy to marry
Sebastian. That's the guy.
Yeah.
Well, that happened. That was a surprise to them.
Yeah.
And when it happens, they're kind of like, yeah, go for it. Yep. Now here's where she finds out. And she's asking him what do you think? And he's like, I can't tell you what to do. Even though he wants to tell her, he can't. It's got to be her choice. And she kind of blames him after this fact by saying, if you had just said one word, I never would have done this. And he has to kind of put it back on her, so I couldn't tell you. It had to be your choice. Because it's a job. They actually have a job they got to do, you know. They're not just trying.
And his demeanor changes business too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got to go hard on it because he's got a job to do, and you know. She's kind of struggling a little bit.
Said that there's a riding. There's a horse riding club, and that's where they want to meet. Have her meet.
Yeah,
him.
That's how they're going to meet him. They're going to meet at the riding club.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the relationship starts changing.
Well,
She starts drinking.
Yep.
So he didn't remember her.
Like, ride right beside him.
So he didn't remember her until Cary Grant kicks her horse, and then she just starts galloping out of control, and then he goes after her.
Yeah, because
like the gentleman he is.
He knows how to manipulate the situation, not in a bad sense, but he needs her to.
Yeah.
She needs to be in his view, basically.
Yeah, he's got to kind of move the situation along a little bit here.
He knows it's intrigue, it's espionage. Yeah.
It's skill craft.
Yep. He is not without honor and bravery, so there you go.
Yeah. He's just a Nazi.
Chivalry.
I love how
all bad.
I like how they.
I have a wildcat.
Claude Rains did not look as because he wasn't that far after he did Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart, and he wasn't that old looking in that. But in this one, they definitely did. The makeup department did a good job, really aging him up a little bit more. So it's really interesting when you look at the movie magic and how they did that here. Here he looked a little younger in one movie, and then another movie here it's like, he looks like he's at least 10 years, if not more, older here.
Do you know how old he is?
So this was 1947-ish time. Let's see here, Claude Rains.
I'll still not get over the fact that was the guy who did The Invisible Man, because it's all the voice in the first one.
Claude Rains was born in 1889.
Wow.
Okay, so he's in his late 50s here.
Yeah, almost 60s.
Yeah, 50s. Wow. He looks pretty good for late 50s.
Yeah.
So I like how she notices Cary Grant's boss right there, and he's like, he's like, I know him. He's an agent. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
So they've also, we've got our agents down there. They have their agents watching them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's watching everybody else.
It's like the Spider-Man meme. You.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like the what is that scene in some movie? Doctor, agent.
The old spy versus spy mad cartoon. The black and white agent spies constantly trying to kill each other. Cat and mouse game all the time. And the funny thing is, they know they're Nazis. They know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
But they really don't have anything on them to
They only have
them
is intrigue and some sort of rumors and all this other, back alley, gossip and mischief. So it's just they have to get the evidence. So
Yeah, so they can't just arrest them and deport them. They know they're up to something, so that's why they got to get an agent in there to find out what they're doing.
Probably.
So was it to take? That's one thing the ending kind of confused me on. Was it to take this guy out, or was it just to? Or I thought they were trying to
find out what's going on and
find out what all of them
what's
are doing.
The bigger picture going on.
Yeah, because right now they have nothing but spy stuff going on in terms of rumors. So what they need to they suspicions and under back alley conversation, gossip, whatever. And it's so right now they just need to know what they're up to and what they're planning on, because there were rumors back in the day where the Nazi party was trying to reestablish itself and regain its strength, and this is kind of built on those intrigues, and probably they broke some up back in the day. But yeah, so now she's getting all the giving out all the
no expense.
Yep. So she has to seduce him. She's got to she's
flash the bling.
Yeah. She's got to show class and everything else, and to be able to climb up that ladder to get his attention. So
and they're giving her directions of what to do when she gets there. Memorize every name, especially their nationality. That's very important.
Yep.
Party time.
Yep.
I'll put the game face on.
I wonder if this butler knows what's going on.
I don't know. They never allude to the fact that anybody other than him and his mom and the
he looks he looks terrified.
Yeah, he might be more scared than anything.
So he probably knows who they are, and he's probably stuck. I don't know, maybe he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. But the way he reacts just is very telling.
I'm seeing a lot of wildlife out my window this evening. There's a deer going by.
No. Was a raccoon riding it? That would be awesome.
That would be funny.
Right in the battle. Hey, Miss Marshall. Hey, Miss Martin Muses.
Hey, Miss Martin Muses. Hey, girly.
A nice little study here. We're hearing piano playing. It's funny, we're hearing piano playing in the background, yet there's a piano there and nobody's playing.
Yeah, right.
So I'm curious if they're playing it in the movie or if that's just the part of the score, and that the characters don't hear it. That's one thing I was curious about watching this scene right here. And look who it is. The Hitchcock staple, the mother. The mother-son dynamic is here.
Yes, I am a Nazi. You can tell by the way I look.
Yeah, really.
She's basically the brains behind her son. So Claude Rains, that's Claude Rains' mother, even though he looks like he's almost her age, or probably older.
In reality, she was only 4 years older than him.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I mean, you had Connery and Harrison Ford 12 years apart.
It's kind of funny how you see people and you kind of like it works, and then you hear their ages, like Jesus,
And there's this creepy guy. There's this creepy guy. Too bad they didn't shoot his ass at the end of this movie. Spoiler alert.
They are, of course. There's nothing nefarious going on here. These guys aren't creepy. No.
I know. Look at that face. I mean, there's not think that's just this creeper face all over it.
So if a creepy guy like that, says, you know what, you look tired. You know what, I'll take you home. No buts. I'm taking you home. And this poor bastard right here.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And this guy, this guy's great.
Lurch. That's a lurch.
He reminds me of in Arsenic and Old Lace, his brother in it. His half brother.
I am not Boris Karloff.
Who are you supposed to be, Boris Karloff?
And I'm curious if this guy was supposed to be based off of Dr. Josef Mengele.
Maybe.
I mean, because he was Dr.
know.
Mengele was never caught.
No,
Yeah.
he did die in Brazil though.
Yeah.
Brazil or Paraguay or one of the he died, they never caught him. Yeah, he died in South America.
Yeah, he died, had a heart attack while swimming, and they found his grave. They actually found his bones and did DNA tests and found that he was really dead. But yeah, he was in Brazil
Because they caught another Nazi, Eichmann, in the 60s. And the Mossad got him. It's too bad Nosferatu's not here. He likes to talk about Mossad all the time. They had this big trial on televised and everything. And and look, we got the foreshadowing. Look, we got there's the wine again, or the champagne.
And this guy,
this guy's freaking out for no reason.
What's that doing?
Hey, R2.
That was another thing. He made a weird sound like the dude in North by Northwest when he gets the knife in the back, pointing or something.
And they kill him over this. Why?
Yeah.
Because they thought he was unreliable. That he could be he could jeopardize their operation. They didn't think he was solid because that's typical criminal thinking right there. If you show any little weakness or something that could get you caught or get you in trouble, because what he did, I mean, they found the evidence because of what he did. So if I was an evil if I owned an evil organization that was trying to stay 10 steps ahead of the police or the world police or whatever, would I get rid of him?
They're deciding his fate.
Yeah.
Yeah, around the table over dinner, candles.
This guy that kind of looks like Eichmann is like, yeah, I will drive you home. I will drive you home.
I would do it.
No, don't go to that trouble.
Like there's a place. I love how he says it here. It's like there's a place up in the mountains where the path curves or the road curves, and it can get kind of dangerous up there. And they didn't say anything. Then he walks in. He's like, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry and everything. It's like, oh, it's okay. You're just tired.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'm going to take you home.
Tired.
I'm going to take you home.
Yeah.
And then we don't see him again.
And he knows what's going to happen too.
Yeah, because look at his face. Yep.
You think these people would have like a gun stashed away somewhere close by they could get to it in case of little situations like this,
Well, I think I know with this they have to keep themselves very sure of who they let into their little circle. And any moves like that is, I mean, he knew he was done. It's just
this organization does not tolerate failure. Number 3. I've warned you. Once again, quoting from Russia with Love. Just
I love From Russia with Love. Isn't it great?
Yeah. I do not want to delay the Russians anymore. No, number 1, there's still time. Something like that's the fear of God that you have to. If you're the head of an evil organization, you have to put the fear of God into your agents. You just have to for the entertainment of all of us.
I actually think of Dr. Evil when he was talking to his people.
Right.
When you fail, he's like trying to kill the guy with the buttons. Like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, Will Ferrell. He's like, I'm still alive. I'm very badly burned.
I gotta watch those again.
Yeah, Mom doesn't like that girl at all.
No.
Nope.
She's giving the vibes off.
I like how I'm curious if they were trying to. I wonder if they were intending to be together. I wonder if they knew they were being watched, and this was all purposefully done, or they were just kind of playing, assuming that they weren't that Claude Rains was not having them watched.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's got to be your first part, Brian, because obviously Cary Grant's character is in the spy business, so of course he knows the dangers of doing something impromptu like this. And so they have to play it off like it's like they know each, it's kind of like playing 4D, 5D, 6D chess with everybody. Like you have to come off like that. And of course they have to be careful. I mean, she has to relay some sort of information, and they have to play off like she knew. I mean, obviously she knew him enough where, hey, I rode on a horse next to this dude. So there you go. So
yeah, his kind of cover is that they met on the plane. And then he's just kind of like pursuing her and won't let her go.
Mm.
And she's just like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how Claude Rains is like, oh, that's cute.
Yep.
But then he still keeps his eye. He's still he's a jealous guy.
Yep.
So he still keeps an eye on her.
Yeah, he's kind of insulting her here a little bit.
Yep.
Yep, she's tearing up by it. He's being mean.
He's being mean for his sake and for her sake, but in the end, it still hurts. It's not So he has to be mean to kind of have Claude Rains show up. Look at that face. Look at him sizing him up.
Look at that face.
He's sizing him up. He's sizing him up to looks like
Hey there, buddy. She's my girl.
Yeah. So, and see, that's also their way of trying to convince Claude Rains to fall a little bit more into the trap, so to speak.
Mm-hmm, yeah, right. He gets like really kind of possessive of her and wants to keep her closer to him. And
yeah, but they're using his. See, this is why I love this movie, because it shows positive and negative impacts of femininity and masculinity. How like each side can manipulate the other. And I mean, even using the masculinity of him, his instinct of wanting to protect her by weaving this trap. So. And it wasn't just her either. It's like understanding psychology of
makes you feel sorry for this guy.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you can't help it.
I mean,
he got used.
It's not like he's a victim of circumstance. He's going along with the Nazis. He
is one.
He is the Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also going along what his mother wants too.
But you can't be a Nazi and live happily ever after.
No.
Not according to Hollywood.
Nope. So.
Yeah. Here's a little confab.
Yep. In their headquarters there.
The agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is really makes some disparaging marks about her too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. What were they saying?
Oh gosh.
It's like her kind of girl or whatever.
Yeah. That kind of,
it's very insulting to her as a character, because we as an audience, and it's of course he does, but we as an audience, we know who she is and what she's not really that type of girl. But then it's
they're sending her in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost
her.
like
using her.
Yeah, and he says about that. He talks. Cary Grant talks about that dude in the middle who's sitting down. His wife. Your wife's in DC playing bridge.
And your wife's respectable.
And she doesn't have to do any of this stuff. He's like, I resent you talking about my wife. Yeah, you don't talk about that dude's wife.
But at the same time, Cary Grant can't help but be protective. Again, masculinity.
Yeah.
Being a little. I don't blame him for being aggressive in this stance. So, I mean.
Yeah, they need the woman, but they don't like her. It's like, get over yourselves, They're
using her.
Yeah.
These are unscrupulous people.
Shield wall, come on. Who
Well,
wouldn't fall for Ingrid Bergman?
And not only that, but it's like he knows he's been in the espionage business long enough to be able to see that there's nuances on all fronts. Like it's not clear. It's
never is.
Oh, that's right. Then here she comes in and tells him that he's proposed and she wants to know what they want her to do.
Right.
And they're
Do
like,
it.
yeah, do it. Marry him.
Marry him.
Yeah.
This
We
is
don't
the
care.
best thing ever. We'll kill him anyway.
That pisses him off.
I know. And look at her face too. Look at her looking at him like, oh my God. Like, oh gosh.
He had to prove, she had to prove that he wasn't, that she was over him.
It's it's such great acting. I mean, look at their eyes. I mean, they don't need to say or even show too much in their face. It's their eyes. You can't find that in today's acting. That eye, like the eyes,
you see the gut punch in their eyes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's like she's even horrified with how she's saying it, but she's like her whole physical feature is like agreeing to it. But look at her eyes. Look at it. I mean, you can't find that kind of acting where it's like the body says one thing and the eyes say completely different things. Like you can't.
They'd ruin the scene by trying to explain the scene.
Yes.
It's like you don't need to explain it. We can look and see what's happening here.
Yeah, we can all feel the emotional impact that this is happening. I mean, look at that. Look at the emotions that we just saw in a couple of scenes.
Subtle changes in their facial expression speak volumes. It's crazy.
I know.
It's great.
That's why I love stuff like this, because this is great. This to me is a good movie to show up and coming actors and actresses how to be able to talk with your eyes.
See, they don't study this stuff anymore.
No, they don't.
Another good one that's a good actor in just facial expressions is I'm drawing a blank. The father in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
Gregory Peck. Yeah.
Yeah, Gregory Peck.
He's
Yeah.
really good at it too.
Yeah. I mean, look at her. She looks defeated, and she just kind of goes, "All right."
Mm-hmm.
And look, it's like dead eyes, like dead and sad, like.
And the mother's like, "So you intend to marry her, huh?"
And isn't this such a great shot of her? Like she looks so intimidating, and that
she's
whole
big, and he's little in the background,
matriarch type thing, but very
mother-son dynamic. Yep.
Yeah,
Hitchcock. You had that in The Birds. That was the driving force of Psycho with Norman Bates.
Yeah.
You had who else? Mother. I'm trying to think. North by Northwest. Not quite the same situation, but Cary Grant and his mother. It's like the mother's like, you're not here to kill my son, are you? No, of course not. I don't know. I'm curious if that was something Hitchcock dealt with, like that strong mother-son dynamic.
I think I remember reading somewhere I can't remember where, but he did not get along well with his mother.
Oh, is that what it is? So I know his father, he got in trouble, and his father left him in jail for like a half an hour, and it scared the shit out of him to the point where he has absolutely no reason why there's all these movies like I Confess or The Wrong Man is because of his irrational fear of the police and law enforcement in general.
Yeah, it's very and I can say this because I'm quarter German. Brunhilde, very it's like it's very it's very commanding. Yeah, very commanding and very you do as I say, and my way or the highway. Everybody has had that sort of some sort of family figure in their family that's like that.
I don't know, when I saw the mother like that, I was like, it's Frau Brucke. You know, and the horse is.
But like the whole jealousy and of the girlfriend type of deal or fiance, it just reminds me of the birds. And I was listening to a channel, and he was this one guy was talking about the birds. Every time the birds attacked, it was because of like either jealousy between the Tippi Hedren and the other woman that she meets, or her and the mother. And that's when the birds would attack, when there was tension between them or something. The birds were like the birds basically reacted the way the women felt about each other or wanted to do.
So yeah, they come back from, they just I guess eloped.
They just got married.
So they come back, and she goes to shopping and gets a bunch of clothing and.
It's like a wedding gift thing, probably got wedding gifts, probably, got like a purse of money basically. And
so this is pretty smart. This is pretty smart of her. She's looking for a closet and just like, oh no, this one's too small. So she goes around the house and finds out, oh well, her husband, the man she just married, has the keys to all the house.
But then it's his mom who has the
figuring
keys.
out all these little things. Yeah. He has to go to his mother to get the keys.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a big drawn out argument about it, and he just takes him.
Because she's, not going to lie, but she's really being smart about this too. She is another woman in the house. She just got married, and, she needs to have some dominion.
Yeah, rights to her.
Yeah, rights to her, in a sense, kingdom.
Yeah.
So she has every right to know what.
But to keep that key on the same keychain, you'd think you'd keep that key like around his neck or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here these guys are bemoaning the fact that their colleague had to disappear. And the doctor announces the breakthrough. He finally did his work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we sent him on a little vacation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, sure, I'll get the keys for you.
Yeah, then she goes through the entire house, and then there's that one room, the wine cellar. Okay, that must be the place.
And here you can see he's agitated.
Yeah, because he had to have a confrontation with his mom. Or something stupid.
And I didn't notice this as I was watching it, but there's a lot of shots of him where he seems small.
Yeah,
he was a small man.
He was already a small man, but
it's like they're using the camera up to make him look smaller.
Yeah,
well, he had to stand on crates.
Yeah,
when he sat next to, she was taller than him, so he had to stand on a crate to equal her height. And there was another shot where he stand by Cary Grant, and Cary Grant was like 7 inches taller than him. And there was a shot of him walking toward the camera, and he couldn't stop and hop on a box. So he's actually walking up a ramp that you don't see.
Wow.
So he gets up.
And a lot of times they had the camera angles and the way they did things where like someone was in front, like they could do stuff like that where it gave the illusion, of stuff like that. But you're right, Jacob.
And they didn't. Go ahead.
They made him look smaller, especially after he was dealing with his mother. Like in the shot where we see her in the chair when she's doing her sewing, she's large and in charge in a way, right up front in your face, and he's in the background, very small looking. Yeah. It's kind of giving you a visual of what the dynamic is.
Mm-hmm.
So there must be 2 keychains because there's no key for this door. It's like only the master has the key for that door. So she figures out that's the only door she can't get in.
Mm-hmm. So obviously that's the place where something's going on.
Mm-hmm. Something special. So now they have to meet up so she can tell them the information.
He's like, okay, well, we're getting into that room, so here's your job.
Yeah, have a party.
Yep.
But see, look at their demeanor too. It's very cold. Like she's very sad and he's very cold.
He got his arms folded like this right here.
Shut off.
Yep, she's somebody else's woman now,
and yeah, I mean, look at her eyes too. Like she's barely making any eye contact with him. It's very down, and except for right there. But I mean, it's just barely making any contact.
Yeah, at this point they can barely stand each other. But they've got a job to do, so she has to report her findings to him, and he has to come up with ideas to further the investigation.
So, and he says to invite him, and it'll be like to show that you're married now, and he'll leave now.
Yeah. Yeah, to kind of create a little jealousy to be able to solidify the entire situation. Yeah.
So he's in the bathroom and she goes and gets the key.
Yeah, you see the shadow, so you know he's in there. Yeah, and then this was a very tense moment right here.
Oh yeah, isn't it tense?
And then she has it in her fist, and then he grabs her fist.
Yep.
And then he tries to do the other one, but then she hugs him right away. Yep. And then you get that shot that's in the that famous shot on the box of Notorious with her hugging the dude, holding the key.
And she drops the key on the floor and then kicks it under the.
Yep.
Smart move.
I mean, it is very intense because you're just like, oh my gosh, there's the key.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna find out.
Hey, Cannoli.
It's like,
hey, Cannoli. Yeah, he's standing on a box right now. Yeah, because he's not that tall.
And then it's funny. You breathe a sigh of relief, and it's like, oh no, it's in the other hand.
Yeah, he does these. He loves these little suspenseful moments where people are doing sneaky stuff, and they're almost about to get caught, and they pull it out of the fire at the last second.
Yep, that's it.
You look at the suspense. Yeah, Mags, you gotta start wearing your hair like Igma Bergman.
I know. I've wanted to try those because they're called victory rolls, and so I would like to try. I would like to try my hand at doing that. I'm not sure. I'm not that talented, but I would like to try. I'm sure my hair could do it. It's a matter of me.
And this scene is spoken of a lot. It's like kind of
this
showing
is the party.
Everything.
This is the party she proposed at Cary Grant's recommendation.
Yeah,
I remember correctly. That way they can use this as an excuse to get him in.
Mm-hmm.
Then
I was surprised. I was like, give me a week, and then the next scene of the week already passed.
Yeah,
and
they do a lot of
this long zoom into the key.
Well, it's like the reality check of like, here's this big reality, and then you have this small little key to deal with.
Yeah. And we get a cameo. We get a cameo by the champagne.
Hi, Mrs. Cannoli.
Yeah.
Hey, Mrs. Cannoli.
Hey, Miss Cannoli. How's it going?
Hi.
Yeah, he's in every one of his movies somewhere.
I mean,
look at that shot.
Yeah, that is such a nice tracking shot all the way top.
Yeah.
And then zoom, like you said, you got this big to-do going on. It zooms into her hand and one little key. It's all about that.
Hey, it's the key to everything, right?
Yeah, right. She's the key to everything, even back then.
Yeah, Hitchcock was definitely a visionary. I love a lot of his visuals. It's a lot of visual cues. It gives the idea to the audience. It's like showing and not telling. Unlike today, everything is about telling. It's very like, I love it. For me, as somebody who loves detail and it loves all that little stuff, it makes me feel giddy because it's like, ooh, it's like, ooh.
I was looking up because I'm doing research on my current video project. And the most famous, well, it's not famous, but the most riveting scene in that movie, there's a slit screen technique that they use in 2001 during the whole Stargate sequence.
I'll have to do
Well,
that.
that was invented for one of Hitchcock's movies. It was invented for Vertigo. So, there was a lot of innovation. There was a lot of technical innovation in these films. So saying he's a visionary, I mean, and also the people that he hired.
Mm-hmm.
He worked with a lot of great people.
It's an understatement. I mean, you have freaking Bernard Herrmann, who he did not do the score for this. The score for this movie reminds me of a typical 40s movie mixed in with some 60s television scores. Very dramatic and very, horny. Very, very not horny. Horns, not horny. Well, maybe it could be sexy. I don't know. Or violent. Or,
well, the term you're looking for is seductive.
Seductive. There you go.
So, I love this. When she passes him the key, she kind of rubs his hand with her thumb, like
yes,
it's very subtle,
like lingering. The lingerer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's almost like
there's that all the way up front.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about showing, not telling.
Reassuring thing too.
Yeah.
She's okay. I'm kind of safe now. He's here.
Yeah.
And you talk about the showing, not telling. Today, they would have like an entire monologue about what they're going to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would not stop talking about it. And here, they don't say a word about it. You just know what they're doing, and they show you, the key pass.
They show you. There's subtext involved.
Yes.
Like this is what you call good writing. Sorry, Max. Go ahead.
No. It is good writing, but like that was the reality check. Like a lot of times they had to probably in a lot of. Of course, I'm not, an expert on it, but I can only imagine that during espionage work and all this kind of stuff, you didn't have time to go through a list of you're going to do exactly this, that, and the other. No, they had to rely on each other's cues and being able to function as a team, so to speak, without actual instruction.
Yeah, and then wits about you.
Yeah, so this is kind of, I would say, probably more realistic than a lot of today's espionage movies.
And to avoid being detected, you had to speak in code. So
exactly.
I mean, which is what I do with YouTube all the time now. I may or may not do.
That's what we have to do every day.
Because certain terms of service happen. So a TOS, and I'm not talking Star Trek.
So we're all in a little espionage game now.
Yeah. He's like, we gotta be careful. He's gonna be watching us the whole time.
They gotta kind of make it look like she's kind of telling him it's over. You can say I'm married now.
Yeah.
He's got to be kind of the gracious, cordial person, and
here we go. Oh, not yet. Or did it already happen? Shoot.
That's Cary Grant for you. He's tall and he's handsome. Well, women are coming up to him.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Hey, we miss Hitch? Come on, show Hitch.
I don't know. It's like a quick one. He goes up to get champagne, then leaves.
Look,
there he is.
There he is.
Let's chug this down right here.
Slam it.
And yep.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, him using himself as a and especially I don't think he did at this point, but in the 50s and 60s, he used himself as the marketing to market his movies. Yeah. He just sold himself, and you know what? People bought it.
It worked.
It did.
He was a big name director before big name directors were a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't watch these movies for their stars, even though he did have stars. You watch these movies because they were Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Yes, Alfred Hitchcock presents.
Yes.
Yeah. And here we go with adding suspense. She notices that the champagne is running low.
Yeah, and if he has the only key to the wine cellar, so if they go to him and he doesn't have his key, then they got problems. So they're all going to get busted. So they're on liquor watch.
So meet me outside the meet me by the wine cellar.
Yeah, the garden door to the wine cellar.
Yep. And then they go in, and Cary Grant pulls a little boo boo.
Yeah.
A little boo boo.
Yeah, now she wants to change the music from waltz to a little Brazilian.
Yeah.
Gives her an excuse to disappear. Yeah, people are just pounding the champagne away.
That's just I'm getting Temple of Doom vibes from that shape of glass and the champagne. What is this blue you're carrying? Oh, it's antidote for the poison you just drank.
Yeah, right. Really.
Which is funny because it's funny I bring that up now because let's just say it becomes a thing later, but not with champagne though. Unfortunately, with coffee instead. How dare they? How dare you drug coffee?
How dare you put
coffee is like
coffee? How dare you?
Yeah, coffee is like the gift of the gods, and you're tainting it with your shenanigans.
Hey, Tim's talk.
Hey, Tim's talk.
Oh.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah, so he gets in there finally, and they can't figure out what's the big deal about anything.
No, they don't understand, and it's like, well, obviously there's something here because why with the one key?
And why did that one guy freak out when he saw the one wine bottle? And
something is going on.
Yeah.
Something's going on, and we're going to find out.
These people are packing it away.
Yeah.
He starts trying to read the little thing in the back.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of surprised. Maybe he didn't check the bottle, or obviously he didn't see the bottle that broke. So he probably didn't know what the year was on it. But that's basically the first thing that Claude Rains finds wrong with this.
Yeah,
I wonder what was going on in 1934. I wonder if they picked that date for a reason.
Well, that was the year the Stooges started, their thing with Columbia Pictures, and they started making shorts.
Yeah.
When did the Nazis take over? Was it
32? Hitler was elected chancellor in 33.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it could be around that time where something, like the chancellor, but then the official year is 34, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, obviously he's trying to look at some records and probably wondering if there's any secret doors. I mean, it's espionage biz. And then obviously that happened.
Surprise, it's not.
But then now it's like not only surprise, but there's the actual thing they're looking for.
Yeah.
Isn't uranium supposed to be toxic though?
Yeah, I think it would be killing people if they got near glass bottles full of uranium.
Yeah. So, oh well. I was like,
it must be what they make or what they use to make uranium with.
But uranium's an element, so
so
it's like uranium ore. That's still radioactive.
But do you think? Yeah. I think did they? I forget. Did they explain it in the movie itself or something? Because I don't think it was necessarily.
No, I don't think it was.
I mean, I have to.
Or maybe it wasn't uranium. Maybe it was something they used to get the uranium out of the ore.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because it could be like a extraction process or something, but this is not as poisonous, but this is going to be just as deadly and easier to transport. Maybe I don't know. Because remember we had the doctor situation, or the scientist doctor situation with this.
I'm assuming the uranium here is for nuclear weapons. Obviously,
that's a good point.
Dropped the year before.
I mean, I don't know how the border was at this time to the United States, but I would assume it'd be pretty easy to drive a.
Well, they could just take a ship right into New York Harbor.
Yeah.
There were no there was no radioactive detectors back then.
Yeah, this would have been easily transported in wine bottles, and nobody would have known.
Yeah, they could send everything in New York and then put the bomb together in a building and then just detonated it.
So she's like, "We gotta get out of here." He's like,
"Did a shitty job cleaning up." He did a shitty job cleaning. cleaning up the place because they just didn't have time. And hey, we're doing this.
Okay,
Now
so it
she-
says here on Wikipedia, so I take this as a grain of salt, but I'll go with it. It says uranium ore. So I'm wondering if that has different types of properties where it's less. I mean, it's probably going to leak poison, or you can touch it and you get some poisonous aspect from it.
Yeah, I
See,
don't
now
think
he's got to make it convincing to because
it's not it's not refined uranium, which would be lethal.
It's weakly radioactive according to the United States Environment EPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have to like enrich it or put in the centrifuges to purify it so they get to the point where they get like weapons grade.
So I think that guy that they killed off was like testing it to see if it, met standards to do that. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
and that's why he freaked out. That was there.
Yeah. So this part here, he sees him, and that's kind of part of the charade that he's like still interested in her and he still wants her, but she should have like pushed him off a lot sooner.
But she couldn't.
She couldn't
help. She couldn't help herself.
Then it would have sold a lot better.
I can see his reasoning here to make him angry and not think, why are they down here?
Yeah,
because they have to hide all that situation. Yeah,
that they created. Yeah, today he'd be opening the door, beating Cary Grant, and not talking to him, gentleman to gentleman.
Well, plus too, he's got a party to attend to, so he can't just kind of show up bloodied and disheveled either.
Yeah,
he's got some impressions to make.
Hey, everybody! I just caught my wife whoring on me, so party's over. Gonna keep the appearances.
Yep.
Mother.
Are you leaving so soon?
So then he goes down to the seas. Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's missing. He's like, no, they don't need any more champagne.
We got whiskey and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to get loose lips flapping that he's a problem now too.
Yeah.
Of course, he doesn't. He knows, but he doesn't quite know, so he's got to play along here.
Yeah.
Copa.
He notices the key is missing. So.
Hi, Copa. Yo.
What's up?
Hey, Copa.
Yeah, he knows that something's up, so he can't. He's got to again hold it together. And he's not sure how to react to this because remember, guys, he's actually really in love with her.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
they had that history in the first place. So
yeah, exactly. They had that history. So now it's look at the eyes, the acting.
Yeah, look at that. Just especially the way he looked up at Cary Grant earlier. Yeah, you notice.
You saw that, didn't you? It was like,
yes,
yes. Looking him up and down.
The eyes of a little man.
Short man syndrome. Oh, yeah. So he's looking at the keys, he's putting them down, and then he checks them later.
Yeah, so I think she puts it back, and that was just like, that was dumb. She just threw it on the floor somewhere, like she did earlier. Just threw it on the floor.
Yeah.
And see,
she probably could have gone away with it.
That's probably
that's where the train would have come in.
Yeah, that's where I because obviously he's not sleeping well or hasn't slept well, and that's where her first mistake is. She's been careful all of this time, and that's been her first mistake. And if you think about it, it's a very human mistake. Just trying to think of like, how do I correct this situation? We all think this way. So I mean, she's obviously going to be afraid for her life. So,
and she's not trained. If she had been trained better, she would have known to throw the key down on the ground and make it look
to
like
be smarter about it. Yeah. But in this instance, this is where she screws up.
Yeah, he knows something's up.
You're right, because if it had been on the ground near where he typically puts the key or something, then
You gotta-
it
you
Yeah,
would-
gotta
like
explain
underneath
it.
that desk that he had on earlier.
Mhm.
That's where if I was her, I would have done. That's what I would have done. I'm not sure if it would have worked out, but
yeah, because eventually something would have come up regardless. But this is
Yeah.
now.
But at least maybe bought her some more time. Well, now he sees, okay, somebody poured some wine down the drain.
Yeah,
Go look these bottles.
and 1934, 1934, 1934, 1940. Wait a minute, what the deuce?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not right.
Ah,
And he looks inside. He's like, "Oh, this is not fully bottled."
Yeah, and
the cap comes right
top
off.
is loose.
What? Then he gets down on the ground and finds
The glass. There's shards of glass. There's pieces of the uranium.
Yep.
Or there's
boom, there's the original label. Now he knows. Somebody
Yeah.
got in this room. Like he went missing. So he got in this room. They know what's going on in here now.
And who does he get advice from?
his mother.
Mother.
Oh, yeah.
And
He
his
runs
mother's
right
like,
to mother.
his mother's like, you know what's going on here, right?
Uh-huh. I told you. I didn't like that bitch.
Watch the language now.
I'm sorry.
And I love it. She's like, "Oh, it was that man, wasn't it?" And he's like, "No,
No.
I'm married to
An American agent.
an American agent." She's like, "Oh, I need a
And she
cigarette."
smiles. She smiles. She's like, yes, this is what I want to hear.
And she's like, "I need a cigarette."
Yeah, that's so weird.
She's like, this is, we could be fucked. So, sorry, excuse my language.
Language.
It's
So I
I
thought she
think
was
there's
gonna pull out
something
like a
like-
gun or something. Then no, she goes for a smoke. I'm like, oh man.
I love. She's like this. She got a.
But
Yep,
see, that's
she
how
did
it was back in the day. They had like cigarettes right off, like they woke up when they had a smoke. So,
Hey, cigarettes were good for you back
but did you
then.
notice?
I mean,
did you guys
convert-
notice the shot when he told her this, and she was like, "Oh, the shot was from
Up
top
high and
down
he's
of
little-
him, and
little
his
again.
face, he looked smaller, like a little boy, like he'd
Yep.
been caught."
It's like,
Nos,
oh, I have
Nos
to
is
go
in the
confess
house.
to my mother.
Hey, Nas.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Nas.
brought up Mossad earlier. Nas.
Yeah, where were you?
Uh
Yeah,
oh.
where were you?
Did Mossad get you? Well, we're talking about Mossad. And now they're talking about he's scared that he's going to be killed. And he even agrees that if it were me finding one of them, I would have killed them too. And she's like, no, we can ride this out. Nobody knows.
We have to,
What did she say? It's your sheer stupidity that's protecting you right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Somehow, yeah. And he's like, I'll take care of it. She says, no. You're not going to do anything.
that
take care
shot
of
is so
her.
funny. He's like,
She's like, well, maybe she will meet a case where she gets she starts feeling
Sick,
not so
you know?
great. I mean, it could happen, right?
Mhm. Yeah, they
And it's
want
like
they want to have a clean break from this without really, kind of like they tie up loose ends.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can't just shoot her and
like-
kill her. They've got to
Yeah,
make it look good.
it immediately cuts to coffee, or no, yeah, them drinking coffee, and he's
How
like,
dare they?
"Oh,
How
drink
dare
your-
they?
drink your coffee, it's getting cold."
That's why I like to prepare my own stuff.
Yeah, less chance of being poisoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Make sure there's no
like the
arsenic in
mother.
it, you know?
What I was thinking when I was watching this, especially, I don't know if any of you guys seen I Claudius, the BBC series about the Julio-Christian Claudian dynasty of Rome during the time of Christ. Well, Caesar Augustus's wife, second wife, did away with his first wife's kids by taking care of them,
Yeah,
by
Oh.
providing them with their food and their drinks, and and all their medicines whenever they got sick. And the mother, his mother, Claude Rains' mother, kind of reminds me of the character in I Claudius, played by Sean Phillips. Livia.
so she's like, the light, it's already affecting her. So her head's bothering her. He's like, "It's hot here. You need to be careful."
Yeah, and then she says she doesn't want to admit it to Cary Grant, but she's just like, I'm drunk, or I'm hungover, or he says, "Are you hungover?" She's like, yes.
No, he's about to ask her, "Are you sick?" And then she like cuts him off and says, "It's a hangover."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because here she's finding out that he's leaving. He's going to Spain.
Yeah.
She's going to get a new handler.
Yeah, so she's pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really.
Yeah, so because she's going to be left behind by herself. I mean, you think about it, though. She's literally fending for herself.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that empty cup of coffee. So, yeah, it's happening gradually and gradually and gradually.
Yep. Well, that's because they're slowly poisoning her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just noticing that's some pretty china there.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny back then how much coffee they drank. It's like these little cups of coffee, and we like drink 3 times that.
I know, right?
Like this much.
And then now she's really starting to show that she's not feeling good.
If you go back, go back to where they're walking across the yard there, if you can. See how much shorter he is than her?
Yeah.
And then the next scene, he's like right up on her, like even.
Yeah.
Boom. He's standing on a box.
Would you like me to find you a box?
Look how they didn't show their feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now she's going to see him.
She's just slowly walking up, too.
And she's very tentative, yeah, because she's obviously not feeling well right now.
Yeah, she's been poisoned and doesn't know it.
I love how she figures it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny when they.
And the way they show it from her point of view, the way they show this from her point of view, where Claude Rains and his mother become like silhouettes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just creepy as hell. That was a creepy segment.
Well,
I was curious. I was curious if this movie would end in a bleak way. I was worried about her because I just watched a few movies that had bleak endings. I was curious if this was going to be one of those type of movies here.
I love the fact too that because I think she had missed one of their rendezvous sessions or something like that. And I think he'd asked her here, like, what happened. And she was just, I wasn't feeling well or something like that. And she's clearly showing signs of some sort of distress.
Yeah. And she tells him goodbye.
Yeah.
Meaning that she knows he's being transferred to Spain.
Yep.
Yeah. And he doesn't know that, I don't think. And she's feeling hurt and, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look at this too. Look, she almost looks trapped in this chair.
That big giant chair. And coffee
in the morning.
That creepy German accent.
I love the visual tells. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah. So they're talking. This guy's talking like, "You could come with me up in the hills. It'd do you some good to get some fresh air." And they're like, "Oh, she doesn't need to go off hiking. She's sick."
Yeah, and he keeps revealing more. Oh yeah. So like they did with
so good. This coffee cup is actually like huge coffee cup.
They did like the phone they did in that one movie where they didn't have that. The lenses couldn't do that forced projection back then. So if they did something like that, that coffee cup is like ginormous, and it makes it look like it's up all on her, the coffee cup, and then she's in the background.
Yeah, look, there's like 3 different size coffee cups.
That's a cool. That was like what they did in the 40s and 50s when they wanted to do stuff like that. They did
they didn't have
physical.
They didn't have the right lens to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it was like all practical effects. They had no digital computers to help them. They had to trick you with your eyes.
Hi, Roman.
Hey, Roman. He's here for my beard. Oh, I see.
I need to stroke your beard, Blair.
Yes, we should get together sometime and
Your magical beard.
make that happen.
But yeah, this is definitely the scene where I think she starts to kind of she's like, something's wrong, like something's not right.
Yeah, she's getting sicker and sicker,
and like I like how here like they're trying to figure out what to do. It's like, oh, let's take her to let's I forget where they wanted to take her. They want to take her somewhere, and then the doctor's like, I'll take her to the mountains, fresh air, everything, and they're like, no, and they interrupt, and they're just like, they're trying to because the doctor has no idea what's going on.
I love how she cocks her head here like this.
Yeah, because he's telling her details about the certain mountain range and the certain area, and now they're like zeroing in on the fact that, hey, Big Mouth, you're telling her where the uranium is,
and she's
she's
like, wait, what?
And they know that she's an agent, so
yeah.
They don't want her to know anything. Oh yeah.
Oh! Sorry, that was hers. And then this is when she figures it out.
She's like, oh my! Look at the horror on her face. Look at it. Look at
coffee.
Look at those eyes.
Look at the eyes. The one eyebrow up, and yet the realization. She's like, what?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Now the question is, I forget. Do they know that she knows?
Right here, they figure it out.
They do. Now everybody knows.
Look at
doctor.
Yeah.
Except the doctor, he doesn't know what's going on. But
nope.
And the mother looks right at her in her eyes.
It's like, yeah, we've been doing it.
Yeah.
And the son is like, I'm not even looking.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to look at the camera in this shot right here. I was like, oh, no, he didn't.
Nope.
Expectations subverted.
It's like, I'm a little boy.
Well, actually, it kind of makes sense because
pants,
he was in love with her, so
yeah,
he doesn't want to look. He doesn't want to look at her.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I gotta go, and then she's walking, and she walks, and then she collapses in the foyer.
Yeah, she starts seeing. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, this part. Look at this. Look at this.
Two dark spirits.
Yes, specters. And it's a really good shot of showing like her reality. Like, can you imagine like your world is like literally like you're slowly being murdered.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you're slowly being murdered. Like, oh gosh, the reality check of it is.
And as she's walking toward the door, there are like these dark shadows behind her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was like I said earlier, I was wondering how this would play out because we only have a few minutes left of this movie. And it looks like Cary Grant is nowhere to be found.
She's by herself. She has no safety.
No support whatsoever.
No. I mean, can you imagine feeling that? I mean, I can't.
Yeah, they get her to the room, So the doctor is clueless because they can't let him know.
Right.
But then they do a thing like, okay, let's take her phone out of her bedroom. She needs to rest.
Yeah, no noise whatsoever. I was like, Mm-hmm. And what's funny is at the end, the rest of them figure that out. Like, why is there no phone?
Yeah, then it all comes crashing down on them.
And then here,
so she doesn't show up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's
just like, just patiently waiting for her to die as she does, stitching,
Isn't that very sinister? Oh, it's such a good write in the script. Oh gosh, it's so good.
It shows that her total disregard for life.
Yeah,
puts a new meaning into knitting. Murdering. Yeah,
and then it'll work and let the poison take its effect.
And right here, I believe this is where he's like, I think there's something wrong, and his superior is like, no, I don't think there is. He's like, don't you do anything. Don't you do anything. Don't screw this up.
Yeah, we got a few days left. Come on.
Yeah, we're about to wrap this. About to wrap this up, and then
And she could probably be dead in that last day. So that's
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
oh gosh.
I mean, just think if they didn't start poisoning her, and they just caused an accident, and it would all be over. You'd never know what happened, or
Yeah, he would have been in Spain. She would have died somehow.
Yeah.
And that would have been it. Then they would have to start over with a new agent to try and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because at this point, they know it's uranium, but now they need to know where it's coming from.
And I think we're like, what are they, where are they sending it to, and all that kind, all that kind of business. Yeah. And of course, he shows up because his investigative skills as well. He loves her too,
Yep.
but his investigative skills tells him that something's not right.
And I like how the butler once again shows how terrified he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because he lets him in. He lets him in, and he lets them know, obviously.
Oh, yeah. The doctors talked about how he went to the ticket agents and he noticed somebody was following him. Like he saw a guy one day, the next guy he saw the same guy, but standing next to him when he's buying his ticket.
You think that was Cary Grant? I was curious who they
know.
were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's
I'm
looking at
thinking-
Claude Rains, and Claude Rains could care less because he's got so much on his mind.
Yeah.
He knows something weird's going on too. He saw his Frabuga go
Yeah.
across the way. There she is.
And she sees him, and he hit his whole look of horrified of what's been happening to her. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the look! Look at the look on his face.
Because it's been a week since they've heard anything from her.
No,
Yeah.
and look at the look on his face, and he's just look at it.
And
I mean, it's so.
She tells him they've known since the party, and his whole face like, oh, I caused this.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're both they're both vulnerable here, but his eyes says it all of I am, just horrified, but also angry. Like there is so much there.
I'm getting you out of here right now.
Yep.
This is over.
Yep.
Such a good shot there, the lighting and everything.
Oh god, it's so romantic and it's beautiful and it's very masculine.
Dangerous.
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, look at that. Look at how he's holding her too.
Now Showell says, look at that shot. It's so vulnerable.
Yes. Like he's even being vulnerable to her.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. Just the one eye that we
And,
see. You see
you couldn't-
so much there.
Yeah. And you couldn't get this. I don't think you could get this kind of detail if it was in color.
No, you're right. It's
Yeah,
gotta
this
be
is
in black
perfect
and
for
white.
black and
It
white.
has such a great effect on the scene.
You don't see half of his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's just relieved to see him. It's like, oh my gosh.
He finally admits his feelings for her, and
Yeah.
he loves her.
Yeah, and look how he's trying to even, try to wrap her up in his coat and just kind of something, or his robe, just trying to. He knows he needs to get her out.
It was funny
And
because
he's
she's
like,
so sleepy, and he's like, "You got to stay awake." And she says, "Say that again." It's what? That you love me. It helps me stay awake.
Yeah.
It's something to cling on to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because that's what it is. She doesn't have much to cling on to anymore. So.
I heard Klingon.
Come on, Brian. Wrong channel.
Down, boy, down.
He's like,
I mean,
what
look-
is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
And he's like, I can make a real disturbance here.
Mhm.
Something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For your little friends down there.
Don't make me
Hey,
pull my
Krista.
walker out.
Hey, Krista.
Hey, Krista. He's like, don't make me use my Walther I have here in my pocket.
Don't make me make a scene. You won't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, you don't want them to know, right? Right.
Yeah, he's like threatening them all the way down. You know what they did to your friend? You wind up just like him.
Yeah. What's funny was it was funny hearing that. I thought he was like the leader, but apparently he's not. He's just another member that they're meeting.
It's like
here.
he's one of the. It's like a, how do you want to call it? Like an elder head or something like that. But yeah, it's like in their boardroom thing. He's not he's high up there, but he's not high up there.
High enough. He's disposable like everybody else.
He's so high. Sorry.
If he becomes a problem.
And there's only two instances in this ship movie where the mother face just her facade drops. And one is when he tells her what's happening. And then this scene, her demeanor is her facade is totally collapsed.
Yeah, she's in real danger and she knows it.
Yep. And look at the anger in his eyes too. Like I
like how they're standing. I like how these guys are just standing there like, what's going on? Tell us, what the heck's his name? Tell us, Sebastian. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
Well, because if he tells them, both the mother and him would be dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And this guy's already thinking it too.
Yeah.
Like, we're taking her to the hospital.
Yeah, then he tells you waited way too long. You should have gotten to a doctor before. And then they say something about there's no phone in her room to call a doctor. So how are they calling the doctor now?
Yeah.
Right.
Explain. We want to hear the story, Sebastian. Come back in, Sebastian. Explain it to us. And then they close the door.
Right.
He's trying to get out.
The mother, I think she's worried for her son, and she's like, he go away, get out of here.
Go, son, go to the hospital with him.
Yeah.
I'll stay here and he'll call me. But
and then they drive off without him.
I love it. He pulls out, he reaches his hand back and doop, lock the door. Nope, you ain't going nowhere, buddy. Bye.
That's your problem. You take care of that.
And I love the shot. Like, look at that. He's a dead man.
He knows it too. And then his friends are calling him. We'd like to have a word with you, Sebastian.
They're at the door. They're waiting for him. And then he closes the door, and that's the end of the movie.
Look how his hands are. He's like a little kid that just got caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come in here, little boy.
So do you think do you think they just end him, or do you think he tried to kill them and they all killed each other, Mexican standoff style?
I think they killed him, but he may have tried to run, but they got him.
Did they kill the mother?
I don't know. Probably. Yeah, I think they got rid of both of them.
Yeah, I would say if they're the types that would want to clean up loose ends, they would have to kill the mother too. So I mean, I think it's implied based on established precedent already set in this movie that they're done. They're gone.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Now, whether or not did he get her in time to get the poison out of her or not, though?
I think
she's dead. She dead.
I think
Brian.
Bleak end. It's a bleak ending.
I think it's to me. I think it's implied that he got her out in time.
I like to think that. Yeah. I'm kind of with Nerdporeal. I think she's a goner too. So nobody got out of this one unscathed.
No, they live happily ever after.
And maybe that's the way.
The end of their
maybe
days.
that's the way Hitchcock wanted to interpret it. He didn't want to have a clean cut ending where it's like here's the audience can interpret how. Like for me, I think it's he saved her in time and Sebastian and the mom got it, but who knows? Yeah,
Hitchcock never has like epilogues or anything. Usually once the major thing is resolved, that's it. Once once Jeffrey dies in Vertigo, that's the end of the movie. Once they actually gave an epilogue to Psycho to explain what was going on with him, which was not originally in the film. The film was originally going to end with them taking the knife or subduing Norman Bates.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably the one time. Birds just ended when they left. They just left the city. They were sneaked by the birds and they just drive off and that's it. So, I mean.
And I like that because there is no tidy ending. You do have questions.
Another thing too, in the bedroom, she tells him, you know, that place in the mountains.
Yeah. So he knows. So even if she does die, they can put a little kibosh on their little plans here.
Yeah.
Right.
So this was a good movie. There was a lot of tension. There was a lot of there was high stakes, and I'll be like I said earlier, there was a point where I was so scared for this character that I thought we were going to get a bleak ending. Because sometimes you know it's weird. Sometimes I watch new movies, and you know Nas can I watched a Klaus Kinski movie that Nas loves, and it ended up being a bleaker movie than I thought it would be. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
I was curious if Hitchcock ever pulled any bleakness in any of his movies because I've never seen this one. So
yeah,
the stakes were high for me.
Yeah, it was like really good tension too. Like, you know, she almost got caught doing the key thing.
Yeah,
and then they almost, and then they did get caught. Then she's slowly being poisoned, and you know, you don't know.
And then it's like, is he going to get there in time to save her? Because obviously it's.
Like I did not think he was until we see him and he knows something's wrong. I honestly didn't think he was going to come back for like a few minutes. So
yeah,
that's kind of why I felt the way I did.
You don't realize, well, how are they going to get out of this? I mean, all those people are downstairs.
That was really interesting how he did. He just bluffed his way out.
Today would be a shootout.
Totally.
You know,
it would have been Uzis and bombs. Yeah,
it'd be like an action sequence and very, But
they never show anybody with a gun in this movie.
No.
Except the police officer at the motorcycle cop. They show him.
He never pulls it either.
You never see a gun out in this movie.
The only physical violence is when he's trying to beat her off the wheel when she's drunk.
Yeah.
I love the fact though that at the end it wasn't like a shootout, like, action-packed shootout. Like, obviously I thought this was a very heroic thing for him to do. I mean, first of all, he's heading into the lion's den himself to rescue her, but he literally stood his ground, so to speak, by really calling attention to the he's got more power than he realized.
He was using their fear to get him out of there.
Exactly.
He
bluffed his way right out.
Yep. That's clever.
That's good writing. That's good writing and
good acting too.
Didn't you love the part of this movie where Ingrid Bergman completely emasculates Cary Grant and all the other male characters? Oh, sorry.
Right.
Sorry. That didn't happen. That didn't happen in this.
That was the best part when Ingrid Bergman saved him. That was wow.
It's kind of like they both saved each other, and I like that. It's like a compliment, y'all.
Yeah, he wasn't any better than she was, and she wasn't any better than his, but she was like a little less because she wasn't trained. But yet she's still pulling it off. They really complimented each other, which is not something you see much anymore.
No, there's definitely what they call it on-screen chemistry.
Yeah.
So.
I think the last Hitchcock I did, the main female character was pushed on Hitchcock.
Yeah, he hated her with a passion. Yeah, the brunette. Yeah, it was a studio requirement, and he was not happy.
The characters, he got the characters, the actors and actresses he wanted for this one, and I think it really adds to the movie.
Yeah,
I think was it David O. Selznick didn't get this and wasn't really sold on it, didn't like it, and he got it off to RKO Pictures.
Right.
And because he had another was the Empire Under the Sun or Under the Sun that he was making that was costing a lot of money. And I think Hitchcock was happy to get out from under him and go to another studio because now he didn't have to get all his memos from the guy and him basically taking over his movie. So it worked out for everybody.
Yeah.
So Blair, Brian, this was your first watch of the movie, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested in y'all's, I guess, conclusive thoughts on it.
Go ahead, Nordporeal.
Okay. Well, what I loved about this was just like they don't I love all the subtext in this movie, like the subtext, especially the code words, like just the suggestions of things, just it doesn't screw with the intelligence, or it doesn't insult the intelligence of the viewer. No. So like you have to be sharp, you have to be paying attention, and you have to understand the subtlety of, you know, once again I'll say it, good writing. And this movie was full of it, because back in the day, you know, you wanted to write a good movie, there was this thing called competition, you know, because, you know, there was probably a lot of writers back then, and so you had to be at the top of your craft. Nowadays, you don't have to be. You just have to believe in the right things. The left things. Excuse me. Sorry.
Zach.
I'm saying the wrong stuff.
Zach.
So
then your shoulders are CGI'd.
Well, you know what? It's not everybody likes Hitchcock. Not everybody likes older films, but this was a very good one. This was, like you said, there was little to no violence, but yet the tension was still there, because they set everything up. They set up they set up Ingrid Bergman. They set up that creepy dude who suggests you know, a guy go for a ride and never comes back. You know, it's all there. You just gotta pay attention, and you just have to and just follow the characters. It's all about the characters and their arcs and everything, and the arcs beautifully concluded. And then they get out of it, and and the rest of it is up to the viewer's imagination. So it's something to easily talk about after the movie. That's why I asked, you know, what do you guys think happened afterwards? So, but that's my take. It was a good movie. Definitely, it's definitely up there with. It's not my top 5, but it's definitely up there. It's up there with like Shadow of a Doubt, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I have to see more 40s Hitchcock. Rope, I've seen. So,
yep.
Blair, what about you?
Yeah, I like the show Don't Tell. You know, it made the viewer pay attention and follow on, and it didn't insult their intelligence by trying to explain every single thing. You knew, if you just pay attention, you know what's going on. I liked how they complement each other. They really did have that great chemistry. You know, she wasn't a girl boss, and he wasn't so uber powerful too. I liked, like you said, there's like almost no violence. It's like the threat of implied violence. You know, when they set the guy up on his little car ride, you knew that these people were dangerous people that had no problem killing each other if they perceived any kind of weakness. And that little walk down the staircase was just, I think, one of the best parts of the movie is that she's near death. He doesn't have a gun. He's bluffing his way out of it. He's using their fear against them because they made a mistake in not telling these other people what was going on because they were afraid of them. So, like, you know, it's kind of this weird standoff situation where all he has to do is say something and they're all dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're all kind of like scared of each other. They get to the point where then she tries to get her son out of danger. He tries to go with them. And I loved it when he just reached over and touched the little button on the car and said, "Nope, you made your mess. You stay and deal with it."
Yep.
And then he goes back in the door, and you just know he's done. And they know he's done. Everybody in that house knows what's going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just a really a great. And plus, it's kind of funny. I like going back to these historical movies and seeing things like the one crazy thing was they pulled out the record of the conversation they recorded.
Yeah.
You know, you think about it now. Yeah, they didn't have tape back then.
Right.
Vinyl.
It was vinyl. I was like, oh, that's really weird.
A vinyl tap.
Yeah. And they talk about, you know, going to Cuba for a vacation and not thinking anything weird about it because Cuba totally was a normal place back then people went to.
Yep, and it was a normal vacation spot. That was like the Cancun of today's time, or Costa Rica, whatever.
A lot of special interests were there until certain dictators
and everything there.
It was probably a lot safer than Cancun is today.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And they talk about, and you go to Brazil and it looks so nice and clean and beautiful. It's not like, you know, the crime-ridden hellscape it's kind of become.
Yeah.
And
that's true. I forgot. Jennifer Lawrence actually played Ingrid Bergman's character before Ingrid Bergman played that character. You
there you go.
Right.
You guys
There
know
you go.
that? Thanks, Dempsey.
Yep.
You
Thank
know,
you,
I
Jennifer,
kind of
for
see
paving the way for everything after you.
I kind of
Everything.
see this time period, Cuba and Rio are like the French Riviera type of places. So it's a place where the rich and famous would go to on vacation.
Yeah. And, this is like right after World War II. So there was a real fear of Nazis being out there doing things,
Yeah.
We haven't gotten into the Cold War situation yet.
And there were still countries like in the South America, like Argentina and such, that were sympathetic to and did a lot of dealings and trade with Nazi Germany. So
Yeah,
that
there was a big German population in South America
in Argentina. Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Patron? Was it the Argentina dictator? He really idolized Hitler and those guys.
Yeah, Perón.
And
Evita, the movie Evita,
Yeah. So when they came
me,
over,
I
he
know.
protected them and liked them, and they worked for him. So, there's the whole situation in South America was that. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Great pick.
Oh, Max, you got any thoughts?
I had recently actually discovered this movie about like a year ago, over a year ago. I never knew it was a Hitchcock movie, and it was shown on Turner Classic Movies, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. It was definitely a different take for me, because for me Hitchcock is North by Northwest. To Catch a Thief. I love that sort of type of Hitchcock. And seeing this movie, I love the subtleties that's put into it, the visual, definitely the visual tells, and again, showing and not telling, and it allows the audience to deduce on their own what's going on, and it perfectly encapsulates the espionage feel of it all, because espionage is showing and not telling and not speaking to each other, and it's all coded. I mean, look, the visuals are coded for the audience, the way the mannerisms are coded for the audience, the eyes, the be able to the acting, the chemistry between the two. It's like it's all coded for the audience to figure it out on their own. And it's definitely smartly done. I enjoyed it. Obviously the chemistry between Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman, two classic, really good actors of their era, and I highly recommend it for people. Like and if you're not I'm not into like the whole Psycho or the Birds. I know a lot of people like that part of Hitchcock's line. It's not for me. That's why for people like me, I like a thrill, I like a suspense. So something like this is perfect for people who like that sort of genre.
There is a wide
range of variety that Hitchcock has. Yeah. And so I enjoyed this movie. This one's, I've seen this at least like 4 or 5 times already, and I love it to death. And it's definitely one of my top 5 for me. And again, if people want to get involved, want to know a little older Hitchcock, this is probably a good one to see and experience. And I love the it's not necessarily historical, but I would call it a historical fiction, because it's based in a historical time period where there was a little bit of fear that Nazis would try to rise again, and this is kind of set during that era of turmoil and post-war stuff. It didn't just like it was an on switch and everything went back to normal. No, there was a lot of stuff that happened.
After watching the series Finding Hitler, it wasn't an unfounded fear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
So I think this is an intriguing movie. It has great suspense, and even though I already know the ending, the way it's written, it still keeps me on the edge of my seat every single time because I still have that. The way a good movie can stand the test of time is to be able to continue to keep instilling that emotion in you of intensity, for the lack of a better term. And I think it's accomplished it over even as old as it is. So
Yeah.
Yes.
so ratings. What would you rate this movie?
I want to hear the newbies first.
I don't know how to rank stuff. I don't know. I just throw a number out of my ass.
I guess
I know.
what I would say
Two
is
thumbs
I
up.
would be a good question. Would you add this to your collection of Hitchcock?
I already
Yes,
did,
definitely.
and I haven't even watched it yet. So I guess two
Yeah,
thumbs
I
up.
give it a 7.5, 8.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Max?
Oh yeah. If I'm already recommended it and I voted for it and campaigned for it, yes, it's up there. I would
Great.
say it's definitely. I think probably appropriate rating for it would be a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not necessarily the best movie, the greatest movie, because I think that's reserved for like 8 to 9, 10 range. But it's definitely well above average where I think it deserves a spot on the shelf. So
Yeah.
I think 7.5 is appropriate.
Cool. Well, thank y'all for coming on and enjoying this great movie.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank
thanks
you.
for
Thank you for having us. Yes,
Yes,
it was
thank
a good
you for
one.
having me.
Anybody have anything they want to plug?
I'll be on this Thursday with Roman on another free range episode. We'll be feeding the chickens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be posting that chicken gif. Oh,
Mm.
if somebody who knows how to meme, please put Roman's logo on that chicken, and oh my god, I will save that because that is totally Roman. Instead of the cup of coffee, it should be like a cup of like beer or like some sort of beer or whiskey or something.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That was a great one.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Thanks, Mags. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing a stream with Angry Canadian. We're going to be chilling, talking about stuff. I got him to watch original Star Trek, and so we're going to be talking about that, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm currently playing. He already completed, I believe. So,
Nice.
so yeah, we're talking about my two favorite things: Nintendo and Star Trek. Yeah. So tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Central. So
Cool.
that way, because he's always in Japan. That way, he can actually be awake, during a normal time. Yeah. In that case, in the morning. So, but yeah. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully, I'll get my video done soon for 2001: Space Odyssey.
Cool. Max.
Nice. Of course, as always, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and on Kick streaming. I am multi-streaming at the same time. Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Jiggletrunk. So if you want to hear him give me bad directions, that's the place to be. And me fussing at him for it. But anyway, yes, you can catch me on YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, Kick, all of those places. And of course, sub to everybody here, give everybody a view and a comment, of course, after streams, because they always help the YouTube algorithm for us. Make sure you hit that like button. But yes, so you can find me in all of those places. And thank you, Jacob, for inviting me on. This has been fun, and I love talking about, especially it's fun talking about a movie that I can, we all, at least for me, I can passionately talk about. And like everybody else, we all like to talk about things that we like. So
yes, exactly. It's nice to talk about things we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
More fun.
So next week for me I'll be doing the Last of the Mohicans.
Ooh.
Oh,
nice.
good one.
The newer
Daniel
one.
Day-Lewis.
The 92 one, yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah, and Shield Wall, Beard of Liberty, and Ms. Martin will be on there.
Ooh,
Ooh,
yay.
nice. Yes.
Sounds like a good stream.
And, yep, so that's pretty much it.
Cool.
And thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us and as we went over this movie. And thank y'all for coming on. And remember, if someone in Argentina offers you coffee, be weary. Y'all have a good night.
Stay Nerdporeal.